We'll be talking about China and India, two nations, they are neighbors, and their population runs in their billions. In short, it was about last year that India overtook China as the most populated nation in the whole world. So basically, two of them are sharing probably some percentage, a large chunk of the world population come from that part of the world, that is China and India. But you know one funny thing about the two nations, China is a communist nation. They are godless, so officially they don't recognize God. Um, religion is more or less like a taboo in China. You don't mention religion. They are officially anti-God in the real sense of it. And you have India, democratic, multi-religious, and the majority of them are mainly Hindus. About 80% of the country are basically Hindus. Okay, so but there's something about those countries that I would like Nigerians to relate with. Okay, first of all, China is second richest nation in the whole world after America in terms of GDP. Okay, their GDP is about 18 point something trillion US dollars. That of America is about 33 point something trillion US dollars. So these are $1 trillion economies. Okay, then India is about 3 point something trillion dollars. So China is about 5 times richer than India in terms of GDP. Okay, so and it has always been like that. China at a time was growing at double digits. Like their growth is like in tens and 11, 12, 13% every year. So it was like a leapfrog from a developing nation to a vast industrial complex where all manner of goods and services are being produced. So China is exceedingly well in terms of GDP. It's like China is the factory of the world. Okay, but let me remind you that those guys are really godless. They are anti-God. In short, at a time they were destroying churches and mosques, any belief system. So they don't have any something that believe. They believe that if you work hard, that working hard will produce wealth. Okay, then India, Hindus have in their culture has about millions of gods which they worship. Yeah, on daily basis. So people are going to their temple to worship God and all manner of things. And you can see they are no match to China. In short, the greatest threat to American civilization, to Western civilization, is China because they are growing in leaps and bounds and it seems unstoppable. In short, recently they developed one AI that really rattled the whole West, the DeepSeek. So at every point in time, these guys are really like, doing something marvelous. They are doing something with themselves because they believe that they can achieve it. Because they believe that, that you don't have to like be religious to achieve something. That's the law of nature. Okay, law of nature it obeys itself. So it doesn't like go behind to like do shortcuts or whatever. Okay. And I'm relating it to Nigeria, where things have become so hard that people are so desperate and they are pushing the boundaries. They are really desperate. They are looking for wealth in every manner of ways. I can bet you Nigeria DP has reduced so drastically that people are now turning to their gods. Yeah. And you can imagine if your GDP, if you're not productive, if you are not resilient, if you are not egalitarian, if you are not a free society, and you want God to do magic for you, it's not going to work. Okay, besides God is not a magic person. The idea of a magic money somewhere waiting for you when you do one or two sacrifices doesn't work. It's not sustainable. It's just like a flash in the pan. Okay, I can remember during the 80s, Babangida introduced a SAP. We call it Structural Adjustment Program. Okay, and it really affected the majority of Nigeria because what they wanted to do is to like restructure the way we run our economy. And it was a badly implemented policy and it affected so many people. In short, standard of living went south since then. Things have never been the same. Okay. And basically what happened after that was that people started to searching for God because before then, or prior to that, what we have was basically the Orthodox churches, especially in the East, in the eastern parts of the country. We have basically the Orthodox churches, you have the Catholics, the Anglicans, the Methodists, some African churches like the Sabbath, whatever. They were there, doing their stuff, and things are just like a little bit calm, you go to church and worship God and praise God, with little demand here and there, being thankful and being, gracious to God, okay? Then after that social adjustment program, I don't know, but I think that things started going south and people started questioning the orthodoxy of those Christian faiths. They were like, okay, maybe, and that was when you have the Pentecostal churches coming in, okay? Because probably that will solve the economic problem of that time, the structural adjustment program. So people started believing that they are not really like, those churches are not really like godly enough, they're not providing what God wants them to do. So they now find a new faith in Pentecostalism. Everybody started joining them, speaking in tongues, all manner of stuff. So if you look at those Pentecostal churches now, you can see that after decades of speaking in tongues, trying to do whatever, yet the economy is still not yet there, and people are now questioning them again. And in short, it's now even much more obvious that some of the churches are going behind the doors to get powers from all manner of places, okay, in order to sustain those promises they made to their congregations, that once you enter into this place, your problems are solved. And it's not true, because if you want to solve a problem, it must be a well-planned, thought out something. It's not something like abracadabra something and hooray, the problem is solved. No, it must be chronological. You must see things being done in a chronological way, in a deliberate way, to make it work. Okay, it's not something about overnight all your problems are gone, and that's why people are so desperate. Okay, after that social adjustment program, okay, we have this list of, okay, we have another faith that is coming to solve our problem. Okay, believing in God doesn't solve a problem. What solves a problem is deliberate effort to work, to work in a society where corruption, everybody has a responsibility to make things to work. If you don't do that, I bet you people will continue to suffer, because there's no two ways about that. If China, as anti-God as they were, as godless as they were, if they can be the second richest nation in terms of GDP and a threat to Western nation, and yet they don't believe in God. And India, with their multiple millions of gods in India, cannot help India to even match China in any way at all. China is 5 times richer than India. And India has the Hindus about 80%, the Muslims about 12 or 15%. You have the Christians and other Sikh and all those things. With all those their prayers combined, they can't match China in any way. And China, they don't worship anything at all. They just believe that God doesn't exist. That's the official manifesto of the Communist Party of China. Okay? God doesn't exist. So it's all about you working hard to make things right. Okay? I believe in God, but what I'm trying to tell you is that we need to change this mindset of trying to rely so much on God, as if to say that we are dumb and docile. Okay? You have a brain, you have everything that you need to make yourself, to make Nigeria a prosperous nation. Because if Nigeria is not prosperous, no matter the type of prayer you say, I'm telling you, nothing will work. Our GDP is about 200 and something billion dollars. Okay? And they were meant to be in trillions of dollars before you can pray and things will work. So first of all, just like in the Bible, you work, number one, then you pray, number two. So because when you work, you produce the wealth. Then when you pray, then the wealth will be channeled to individuals. So our commonwealth as a nation is in tatters. So if you are praying, the source of the wealth is not there to even reach to you as an individual. So you have to create a way, just like Americans. Look, Americans don't have to stay in the church overnight, go to vigil, all manner of stuff in order to get job, in order to get promotions, because they have created the wealth. The wealth is there. And as American, what you are praying is to tap from that wealth. Okay. But likewise in China, they have created a $1 trillion economy. So if a Chinese, okay, maybe a faithful Chinese is praying, what he's praying is to tap from the Chinese wealth, from their commonwealth. So if Nigeria, as miserable as our economy is, as miserable as our system is, if you are praying, you are tapping from the mega, the money that the country, our commonwealth is so miserable. So you are tapping from the miserable Nigerian economy, and you can't get enough. That's why people are running away. Even some pastors are running away from Nigeria. That's why they're establishing branches in UK, in US, in Australia, in Canada, in all these developed nations. You know why? Because they know that that is where the wealth is. Okay. So the whole idea I'm passing across is that our brothers in the East should understand that trying to cut corners, trying to twist nature in order to make money, in order to become wealthy, will not work. Okay. There's nothing like magical progression in wealth. There's nothing like magical progression. It must be arithmetical. In short, at worst, it could be geometrical. Okay, geometrical progression in making money, arithmetic progression in making money. 1 plus 1 is 2. But if you want to make 1 plus 1 100, then there will definitely be a price to pay. I don't know the price. So what I'm saying is that unless the commonwealth of Nigeria increases, the citizens will continue to be challenged financially and otherwise. Okay, so let's just take it cool and understand that the system is faulty, things are not going the right way. So what we have to do is to fix the source of the problem. Then you can come back and pray. So you work, make the system to work, then come back and pray. Is that in the Bible? You work and pray. So that when you create those wealth, $1 trillion wealth for Nigeria, then you'll be tapping from that source. But if you have, just like a family, you have about an asset of 2 million naira, and you're up to like 100, and you are praying for a miracle for that 2 million to solve your problems, it's not going to happen, because definitely what you have is 2 million and you're up to like 200. So the money you're sharing will not make you wealthy. But if you have like billions of dollars and you're about 200 praying for God's blessings, then God will tap from that wealth and distribute to you. So Nigeria has nothing to share to its citizens. That's why people are so desperate, okay, to get wealth in all manner of way, both crude and the immoral way, and some are really despicable the way they go about doing it, all manner of things. Banditry, terrorism, these are byproducts of a system that is not working. Okay, Nigeria is not working, so people are so desperate, politicians are desperate, ordinary citizens are desperate, everybody. It's just like, is it chaotism pro mad? Everything is chaotic, the political class has ruined everything, the judiciary, the executive, the legislators. I mean, things are really going south. And I can bet you, prayer is not the solution to Nigerian problem. Create wealth so that people can go to night shift instead of night vigil, just like P2B said. Okay, and I believe in that. Let Nigeria create wealth. Then you can tap from the wealth of Nigeria. Okay, he who does not work should not eat. So if you are trying to shortchange nature, then nature will have a price for you. Nature will deal with you the way it deals with other people. Okay, so let's create a system that is corrupt-free, that makes people to be responsible for their acts, and people will become wealthy again because Nigeria is wealthy. You cannot be wealthy when the general masses of Nigeria cannot be wealthy when Nigeria as a nation is in tatters. It's not done. Okay, yeah, thank you.